Hi, friends. AI is super cool, but sorry, it's not perfect. And we're still learning about some of the problems and dangers it can have. That's why it's so important to explore AI with a parent, teacher, or guardian to keep things safe. AI is amazing, but your safety always comes first. Ready to dive in together? Let's go.
Welcome to the AI for Kids podcast, the podcast for moms, aunties, and teachers who want the kids they love to understand AI without more screen time. We keep it simple, safe, and fun, no tech degree required. Each episode breaks down AI ideas and includes activities to help kids use AI in ways that keep them curious and creative. No pressure, no overwhelm, no extra screens. Just clear, engaging learning you can feel good about. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to AI for Kids. Today, we have a special guest joining us on the show. Please welcome Ashley Gross, an AI and business strategist. I know you're wondering what that means. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you because I just can't wait to dig into the full interview with you. Before I do that, I want to ask you a question that I ask all my guests. What was your favorite subject when you were a kid? Did you always enjoy learning about things like technology and business?
So I would say my favorite subject was probably science, hands down. I just loved exploring and understanding how things worked and intertwined, which naturally led me to technology. Business came later. I realized the impact technology had in solving real world problems. And then my business and my love for business came a little bit later and kind of connecting the technology and business aspects together.
So when you were thinking about science as a favorite subject, you liked it because of the connectivity, learning things. What made you take the jump from, well, not really a jump because science is around technology, but what made you take that jump from science to business?
I think for me, I wasn't really amazing at math in school. And so whenever you're taking degrees in science, you usually have to take statistics and, pre-calc and things that I really, really didn't like. So I think for me, it was a natural transition because I liked the science part, but I didn't necessarily want to be swimming in the math equations all day, every day that were required for school. So I liked business because it was rapid and it was fast and you could make things and ideas come to life a lot faster. So I think that's what kind of swayed me and transitioned me from science to business.
I'm glad you talked about that. I've actually never pulled out that nuance of loving science, which often has math attached to it, but also not necessarily loving math and how you were able to transition that into a career. So I know a lot of times there are kids who are like, I don't do STEM because I'm not interested in the M part of the STEM, right?
Yeah.
So I like that you were able to still be in a STEM career without loving math. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
So I wish that my superpower could be I could go up to any book and just touch it and absorb all of the knowledge instantly. So there's so much out there to discover and I'm so curious. I will go on deep dives and learn and research all day long if I could. So that would be the superpower that I choose, the ability to absorb the knowledge from everywhere instantly.
I have to admit, I have a lot of books on my bookshelf that you can't see behind me, as well as my nightstand, that I'm literally trying to go through. I'm trying to do Audible at the same time, but I love that idea of being able to touch a book and everything is there. Maybe with AI one day, right? We can get the version of that. So we'll see. Maybe that can actually be a superpower that actually comes to fruition in the future.
I hope.
I hope so too, because I'm not going to get through all those books. But either way, you started something called the prompt community to help people learn how to use AI. Can you tell us what a prompt is in a way that a kid can understand?
Absolutely. So a prompt is like a magic question. You ask a computer a magic question to get it to help you. So if you were at a supermarket or a grocery store, right? And the computer was like your little super smart robot friend and you needed to ask it in a special way so that it helped you find something in the store. That's exactly what AI is. It's just a little buddy that you ask questions so that it can help you understand no matter what you're learning or where you're at.
And when you're thinking about prompts that kids can use, some kids are actually using prompts and they're using tools that are available out there that are large language models with their parents. What are some easy prompts a kid could use as they're exploring AI in the beginning?
Such a great question. So some of my favorites are prompting ChatGPT to create a coloring book. So my son's really, really, really into dinosaurs. And so on rainy days, I will just ask ChatGPT to create me a coloring book page, and I'll describe the dinosaur, which is amazing because my son's 3. So he'll just be like, Mommy, I want to draw, a T-Rex, and there's trees and there's an ocean. Kids have such vivid imaginations, and I can make all of that happen instantaneously. So it really is magical to him. So that's probably one of my favorite use cases that I would always recommend kids start out with, because you get it immediately and you're excited about it. And it's something that you want to do, and you're using technology to get you there faster.
That is such a cute idea, especially for a kid who, like you said, your son is 3. Often people think about kids jumping onto these tools or using it with their parents when they're much older, but that's just a really cool way. And then when you print it out and then they have a coloring page that they just literally were part of creating. And like you said, it does feel very much so like magic. So as a mom and an AI business owner, what do you think is the best way for kids to then learn how to prompt? Like, that was one great example of how you are prompting with your child who is 3. What are some other ways that kids can learn how to do this?
I think it really just starts with being curious and playful with technology. So, for example, you could ask an AI to help you write a story about your favorite superhero, or ask it to solve a fun math puzzle. So I think it's less about what you're doing with it, and more so, I think the key is to think about prompts like friendly questions that make the AI your helper. Because the earlier on that you can figure out that the AI is going to enhance what you're already good at, and learning a way to kind of jive with that and learn the balances and what's possible, then you can really open up your world to every possibility out there. You just have to learn how to communicate with it and get it to communicate back with you in a way that makes the most sense. So whatever you're trying to use AI for, I would just say learning and trying to get down pat what your communication style is and how the AI understands you, and making sure that the relationship with the LLM that you're using is working and it's beneficial both ways. That's where I would start, because the earlier you can get it to communicate really well back with you, and you can enhance your communication to it, the more possibilities there are out there, because you can really do anything. But if you don't get past those initial, hurdles of communication, then it becomes kind of like this monster instead of being a helper.
You're totally right about that, because some of the things that you mentioned were around just using it. I think a lot of times people are a little bit nervous about using these tools, and it's just something that happens when you start to play around with it and you start to prompt it, where you learn its capabilities, where you can go from there. I think you have to start by using it before you can even get to that point. So I really appreciate you for calling that out. I'm looking forward to digging even deeper into this whole idea of prompting. But we're going to do a quick tech trivia. Are you interested in playing a game with me?
Yes.
I promise you it's not too bad. And we kind of use questions that actually relate to your field. So I'm going to start with a softball. And you kind of answered it, but I want you to go into more details. What are prompts?
Prompts are directions that you give your computer to help you get something out of it. That would be my answer.
Yep, that's exactly right. And you went into it earlier, but I was like, still going to ask you in case you want to update that answer for sure. The next one is, what is an LLM?
So an LLM stands for large language model. Essentially what that means, there's different kind of helpers, right? So there's different kinds of computers, and they all have special gifts and skills. And it just depends on what you need the computer to do. And then based on what you need the computer to do, then you go pick which LLM that you want. But really, it's just different versions of artificial intelligence, where depending on if you want to conversate, you can go to ChatGPT because it's in the name, right? If you're trying to use something more specific, you can go to a different LLM for that. So Claude's a great example of an LLM that's really, really good at parsing through hundreds and hundreds of PDFs and absorbing that knowledge and then breaking it down. So it's really just a different way of communicating. You need to look at it as you've got different helpers. Those are LLMs. They're all different, and based on the use case that you want, you can go to different ones that are better than others.
I'm glad you said that, because I know we're in tech trivia, but I want to dig deeper there for a second. A lot of people don't realize that each of the different LLMs that are available are exactly what you just said. They may be better at some things than others. One of the ways I see this is the examples you just shared around like PDFs with Claude. Or like for me, I use Copilot during my day job, but I use ChatGPT at night. And ChatGPT is the model or LLM behind Copilot. But Copilot is built for a work instance and it acts very differently than its ChatGPT version that I use on the OpenAI site. So it's just very interesting to see as you're learning about these different models, some are better or get better at other use cases than others. So I really appreciate you for calling that out. Are you ready for one last question?
I'm ready.
Which company had an LLM that they created, but then changed its name?
What a great question.
You know the answer, I promise you, you know.
Is it ChatGPT?
Google, because they went from Bard to...
Bard to Gemini. I did know that.
And I was like,
yes.
You got it right. I was like, you know the answer to this one. But
I did know the answer. It's the anxiety of being like on a show and it's like you got to answer fast.
And that's the fun part of it, right? But also the part that, like you said earlier, the whole idea of like the questions on, what's the name of that show? The fifth grader.
Oh, are you smarter than a fifth grader?
Yeah, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Like every single time, because it's like the pressure of it, like you know it, and it's just your brain has to find the answer. But yeah, like there are plenty of times when I watch that show and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to open up my fifth grade science book or English book or anything else because I've totally forgot a lot of that stuff. But I was like, you know these answers. So can you share more about the prompt community, what it does in a way that kids can understand?
Sure. So the prompt community is like a big club where people learn to talk to smart computers. So we share tips and tricks on asking the right questions so the computers can help us with the cool projects that we want to do. So I created it because I want everyone, even kids, to see how fun and useful AI can be.
Where did the idea come from? Like, were you thinking about it because of the different tools you were seeing come up? But what made you create this thing?
So
what was your process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been using generative AI, so smart computers, right, since 2020. Mm-hmm. And back then it wasn't necessarily cool. It was a different climate to talk about. And so, I've had 4 years of experience just seeing so many amazing use cases. And, I worked for an enterprise company, which just really means that it's a big company. And when I rolled multiple smart computers out to our marketing org, we saw all these insane use cases and we were saving so much money. There was so much more productivity. People were loving their jobs because they were automating a lot of the tasks that they hated doing. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, this is insane. This is amazing. Very exciting. But I think that it could be more beneficial to small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Okay. Yep.
Instead of, huge corporations. I really wanted to give the power back to, the freelancers and the entrepreneurs, because the smaller a company is, especially if, you're just building a business on your own like I am, mm-hmm. the faster you can move because you can experiment with these tools a lot quicker and there's not so much red tape. So I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to teach the entrepreneurs and the future business owners of the world how to use this technology this early on so that 10 years down the road, they are not facing the same challenges that we have now and we've had, in the past.
I love that because I also use generative AI in my side businesses, AI for Kids, AI Digitals, etc. And it just saves so much time in just doing often mundane activities you have to do over and over again, and allows me to be creative and do other things and not have to worry about some of the things like write this email, or even for this conversation we're having today, I created a prompt that allows me to have a template that's able to pull in the bio, and then I can edit the questions, of course, after it does what it needs to do to make sure it hits what I want to talk about. But it makes it so much easier in generating just information that needs to be generated pretty quickly to get the information out. So I don't have to have an assistant there who's writing all the emails and et cetera. I can literally use the tool there. Granted, you should also still have assistant, and I have it for other places, but I'd rather use an assistant in other areas that a human truly needs to be a part of. And I try to remove those activities that most people don't like anyway and put the AI in place of those.
Absolutely. I love that.
So why is it important? And I plan to join your community if it's open. We'll talk about that soon on how people can get involved. But why is it important for kids to learn how to use AI tools? And I'll start there first before I ask this follow-up question.
Sure. So AI is going to be a big part of the future. And so learning it now is like learning to ride a bike. It's going to give you that confidence and it opens up new adventures. So kids can start by, playing with simple AI tools online or by joining clubs where they can learn and have fun with others. But ultimately, the earlier on that you can adopt AI and have, an AI first mentality, the more doors will open and the easier it will be for you to really use it to enable you to be or do anything that you want. That's what I would say. It's like a skill.
I definitely agree with that. And I like the idea of AI first. I often hear like share first, data first, and those type of concepts. I haven't heard that yet. So that's super helpful to hear. Can you talk a little bit more about what AI first means to kids who may not know what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I mean by that is, if you were to look at really any task, right? Mm-hmm. It's a process. And if you have to do something over and over and over again, I guarantee you, let's just take, for example, what's something manual that kids have to do every single day?
Like setting an alarm or waking up every morning.
There we go. Okay. So instead of spending, 10 minutes every single day readjusting your alarm clock so that it wakes you up every morning, right? Because you have to have that wake you up every morning. Otherwise, your whole day gets delayed. So it's important. So you can't get rid of that process. Mm-hmm. But let's just say you want to enhance it with AI and look at that problem specifically from an AI first perspective. Well, then maybe you create, or I'm sure this already exists or it will soon in the future, you prompt an LLM and you say, hey, a special computer, and you say, hey, every morning at 8 a.m., I want you to wake me up. And then instead of you manually having to tweak your alarm clock every single morning, you set one rule one time, and now it's taken care of every single morning. And now you still need to make sure that it's working, right? Because I'm sure at some point you'll have to remind it again to reset it at 8, or maybe, on the weekends you want to sleep in, so you want it to ignore that. So there's some tweaking that you have to do, and you still have to be the person that is creating those rules and enforcing them. But that's an example of having an AI first mentality.
Oh, I love that example. And that's super helpful to think about just where there's a problem, think of how AI can solve it and try to solve it with AI. And like you said, always go back to it, because a lot of times I think for new to AI, we may think whatever it gives me, that's it. And not having to check back in and we're not making sure that it's still working or editing it or asking it to even go further with its responses. So I love the idea of the feedback loop as well. So how can kids start learning about AI?
I would say, one, always go at it with a friend, because it's so much easier to learn things if you have at least one friend, if not a few, learning the same thing. It just makes it more fun, because if you think about it, you spend most of your days with the same group of people. And so if you're not talking about AI with those people, it's really hard for you to be motivated to learn about it and keep using it. So I would say buddy up, one. The second piece of advice I would give is write down 3 things that you have to do this week that you don't want to do. And then go try to figure out a way to use AI to help you do those tasks faster, because it'll make you happier and it'll bring you immediate value and joy. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to slowly build up our use cases and our experience using these special computers by creating use cases that take 30 seconds. And then 60 seconds, and then 90 seconds. And then before you know it, you're doing all these really, really cool things and using AI. And maybe, one session with an AI agent takes 30 minutes. But if we work at it incrementally and do little baby steps, it's more fun, it's more motivating, and you're learning at a more sustainable pace. So that would be my advice.
I love that idea. And even for adults, for sure. Every day I try to get people to use AI more and more. But people are often nervous about it or don't know its limitations or where to start. But to your point, I love the idea of taking 3 things that I do not want to do, I have no interest in doing, and starting there, especially when you're either a kid and you're new to this, or an adult when you're new to this. I think it just puts a different perspective around how I can use AI. And each week I'm going to have 3 different things that I can work on. So I'm learning how AI can be used across different tools, et cetera, and even trying out different tools to do this, to see the impacts. And I appreciate that example. And I'm going to borrow that from you to tell other folks how they should be using AI and learning about AI.
Please do.
Thank you. I have permission, so I'm going forward.
You do not need my permission at all, but I'm encouraging you to.
Can you tell us about a project or something you're really excited about right now?
Yes. So my first course, and it is called How to Build a Business Using AI in 10 Days. And it is actually modeled off of the blueprint on how I built my business in 10 days. So I'm really, really excited because when I was going through the process of building my business, I was really, just like we were talking about, I had this AI first mentality. So I've been a business owner for a while. I've had a few past businesses. And so it was nice because this is the first business that I've had in the AI era. And so when I was looking at building my business, I was like, okay, here's all the things that I know I have to do that I really am not excited about, right? So it was, filing legal paperwork, and kids probably don't know a lot about this stuff, but the parents can relate to like the EIN and which LLC and like all of this legal mumbo trademarking. I had to have like an encyclopedia open while I was doing all this stuff because it was so technical. I didn't understand any of it. So when I was building my business, I was like, okay, here's all the things that I am not excited to do that I have to do. Here's the tools that are going to help me do this, right? So, and a great example is, when I had to fill out my trademark for my How to Build a Business in AI course, I had a little AI chatbot that could break down all of these words so that I understood what I was signing my name to and what I was doing. So I'm really excited about this course because I had an AI approach to it, as well as I just looked at the 3 reasons that business owners usually don't succeed and the challenges they face. And I built the course as an exact replica of, okay, here's the challenges that you're going to face, but here's the solutions for all of those challenges. So you can't fail. And I'm really excited and proud of that because I think that, it's practical. It's easy. The course is 10 days and it's jam-packed with so much, meat and substance in there as far as learning goes. So after the course is over, every activity that they've done every single day adds up to be a business plan, including a financial aspect. So they're actually ready to go take this business plan and their financial projections and go raise money or go find an angel investor or bootstrap it if they want to, which means that, they raise their own money for it for all the kids out there. So they actually have this. And usually, I'm sure you can relate to this, it takes so long to create a business plan with financial projections. So I teach them how to do that without even making them realize that they're doing that. At the end of this, their minds are going to be blown.
That is one super cool. I'm definitely excited to share that in the show notes as well. I love the idea of, especially for adult learners, like we have to be able to take something and use it immediately. And you've applied that in your program and made it very easy for someone to go through all the steps, not feel the pain of the steps, right? You take away the pain a bit, and then they get to the end and they're like, oh, I've been doing the work and I have this business plan or directions for how I'm going to run my business. I think that's super cool. And kudos to you for using AI to create a business and to create a business that's helping others figure out how to run their businesses. I think it's just a really good example.
Thank you. I think everyone is so full of amazing ideas and, everyone could be a business owner. I just think that, unfortunately, there's a good bit of a gap with a lack of affordable and accessible education.
So true.
And, those 2 things are huge barriers for a lot of people. And even someone like me who works in technology trying to fill out, documents or looking at privacy policies, it can be so overwhelming. So instead of letting that be a reason to prevent me from staying in the field, I'm just using, AI to rewrite the rules for other people so that they understand it in a way that resonates with them.
I like that because even with, like you said, you've worked for these big companies, you've done all this, but you yourself are like, what is going on in this trademark? I have a legal degree and I'm still like, why are we putting this out there for people to make life decisions with these complicated terms and complicated words? And it's just not fair. And people often feel like they can't do it without a lawyer. But like you said, tools like AI can help you understand the words, understand what it means. But AI also will tell you if it can't do it. It'll say, hey, talk to a lawyer. It'll always say, hey, this medical issue, talk to a doctor. Like it tries to also point you in a direction, but I'm glad people have access to mostly free tools where they can get that help. And I just appreciate you for bringing that up because those are very important things. And that was the whole point, I believe, of the internet is to give everybody access to the same playing field. And these tools are hopefully making it a little bit more even. So thank you for that. We're going to do something fun again to learn more about you. It's called 2 Truths and a Dream. And you're going to tell us 2 true facts about your life and a dream job or dream experience. It doesn't have to be related to a job if you don't want to share a job that you may have had as a kid. And myself, along with the kids, are going to try to guess which one's the dream. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it. Feel free to mix it up. 2 facts and a dream.
Okay. I was once a scientist. I was once a hotel manager, and I wanted to be a ballerina dancer.
Okay. 1, you were once a scientist. 2, you were a hotel manager. And 3, you wanted to be a ballerina dancer. You said wanted to, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 1, you were a scientist. You have said to me, I'm going to, like, kids also do the same thing at home. Think about what Ashley has talked to us about the whole time. Think about if you can figure out which one of these is right from her experiences. So 1, you said you wanted to be a scientist. I do recall that as a kid, science was your favorite, or you were a scientist. Scientist was your favorite topic. So I'm going to hold that one for now, because that could be, you also have a technology focus, business focus. You could have done a job that relates to science. So let me stop and put that one on the side. You were a hotel manager. You could have been growing up a long life, but nothing came up for me that makes me think that that was one of the things you may have done, because I didn't hear any context around that, but still you could have been. So I'm still holding that one on for a second. And then the third one was you wanted to be a ballerina. I feel like we all want to be ballerinas at one point. So I think that one is the truest one of them all. And I'm probably wrong, but I'll take the chance. I'm going to assume you want to be a ballerina because we all want to be ballerinas. That's 1, or at least I did. 2, I'm going to guess that it was that you weren't a scientist. And that was a dream. That dream is scientist.
You are correct.
It's wrong. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and hand clap myself. Sorry, kids and everyone else who got, and you for hearing my scream. I thought I was wrong. Awesome. So talk more about that. Talk more about the 3 different things. Well, the ballerina piece as well as the hotel manager. I want to learn more about that role.
Yeah, so I actually was a ballerina dancer.
That's so cool. Okay, cool.
So at one point in time, I wanted to be a professional ballerina dancer. But unfortunately, biologically, I am not really equipped to be a ballerina dancer. So I have very flat feet with actually like no arch at all. And so I am just genetically not created to be a dancer. I was getting injured all the time. I actually had to go from like foot doctor to foot doctor to foot doctor and get them to sign off saying that I was allowed to dance professionally.
Wow.
And I went through 4 doctors to find a doctor that actually signed off on it until I got, injured so many times that he was like, I don't think I can sign off on this anymore. So unfortunately, it was not in the cards for me. But that was the ballerina dancer.
I didn't know the thing about flat feet. I just learned that today. I did not know that.
Yeah, because you spend a lot of your time being on, your tippy toes, and you have to balance your foot a certain way. And so whenever you're using one part of your foot and not the other one, if there's no arch to make up for that lack of support, then every time you come down, it's an impact. Yes.
Got it. Oh, wow. Learn something new. And then tell us about when you were a hotel manager.
Yes. So I was transitioning careers, and I really wanted to pick up marketing. And I lived in a beach town in North Carolina. I lived in the Outer Banks for 4 years.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
So while I was getting certified and training and doing some free, internship and apprenticeship work online, I needed to have an income because life's expensive. So I went, from business to business, because this was old school. So you could actually print your resume off and walk from business to business. Those days are over, I guess. But so that's what I did. And they were like, hey, listen, you don't have experience, with hotels, but you're a people person. Would you like to be the innkeeper? Because it was for an inn. So I was like,
that's so cool.
I was probably one of the youngest innkeepers in the state of North Carolina at the time. I was like 22. So it was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, everything I've done, it's funny because, as you get older, I'm sure the kids don't know what I'm talking about, but you will. As you get older, it doesn't really matter what you do because you'll learn from every experience you have, and you'll be able to use those experiences later on, regardless of where you end up. So there's always things that you can learn and, grow from.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, now that you've explained it, it literally didn't click when I was going through that exercise. That's a business. So I'm like, you love business. So I should have thought about that when you said manager of, because that's what that job does. It runs that business and makes sure that hotel is able to run. And like you said, you're able to learn marketing skills and other skills from that role. So that was another clue that I missed, but glad that you called it out. And before we go, do you have any advice for kids who want to learn more about AI and how they can use it to achieve their own goals?
So stay curious. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Play with the AI tools safely with your parents watching and see what they can create. I would just say in general, to wrap it up, the more you explore, the more you'll learn and the more you'll discover what you're actually capable of. So lean into it.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in as always. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us at the AI for Kids podcast, and stay curious. Thank you for joining us as we explored the fascinating world of artificial intelligence. Don't keep this adventure to yourself. Download it, share it with your friends, and let everyone else in on the fun. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. See you next time on AI for Kids.